Did we cover efficient use of time? Guess not. Fascinating indeed.
Wow.
You've got a low bar for fascinating. And that brings us to a close on our last topic.
Jeez, I'm getting old. I'm not exactly sure where I am right now.
I'm telling you about it now, so if you need to change it, you can change it.
The best part about this is to see if anybody actually says anything about it.
We're going to leave it. We
Conscious
decided
choice.
that it's fine.
The art of the deal.
God damn it, Bill. It's not even, but like,
We both bust out laughing at a joke that Marie doesn't make.
Chromatography and
wait, can we start over?
Let's start that one over. We're not keeping that
What
thing.
exactly Lucid, where innovation synergizes to meet with collaboration and fun.
One of them.
Innovate.
Gentlemen.
That was your best read of the entire thing so far.
It was very good, Bill. I'm sorry that we cut you off. So I just want you to know that.
You're looking down right now. It was pretty dense. I thought I was doing really good. That was fucking channeling Patrick Stewart and shit. See the quality drop off when we stopped editing.
Yeah. I'm just looking happy for the camera. I hate all of you so much on this fucking lighting.
It's like cooking up a big old pot of gumbo. Boy, howdy.
All right. Ready when you are. And through that whole thing, and you had to swear in the last 2 sentences, Bill.
Wow. That was really a great analogy, Bill.
Oh. I like that.
The treasure is so not the right analogy to get it together, Bill. Hate this.
I know what's getting cut first. All right. Automate This is back. The go-to podcast for all the behind the scenes action in automation. I'm your host, joined by my 2 colleagues, Marie and Jacob. Today, we're brainstorming for our upcoming series on our recent project, a contender for Facility of the Future. How's everybody doing today?
I'm doing just great, real excited to jump right into this.
Same. Excited to be in here and map out our series.
Fantastic. Let's kick off by outlining a couple topics that we'll cover. The first one on the list, I was thinking of early stakeholder engagement. Marie, you were instrumental in this. What do you think about leading that discussion?
Yeah, for sure. Early engagement was a huge game changer in this project. And so I'd love to share some insights on how involving vendors and IT, QA, contractors right from the start really kickstarted the success of this project.
Oh, yeah, that definitely sounds about right. We also got to talk about, tackling the equipment successes that we've been dealing with. So I've been real deep into that. So I definitely got thoughts there.
Right on. Well, then for the second one, I think it's important to talk about our strategic approach to the URS and the RFP process, how it impacted our vendor relationships. It kind of sucked to get all that work done up front, but it really made a difference when the startup started on the back end of the project. It's like crafting the perfect toolkit for a job.
Yeah, for sure. That'll be a good topic too, especially considering how the decisions made early really impact the whole life cycle of the project. It's a non-obvious and there'll be a significant payoff after putting in the work.
Yeah, and having that first, it'll end up actually rolling right into another topic we can try put together. It's the integration of key equipment. It's the key equipment from the third-party vendors was really where that upfront work paid off. Jacob, maybe we can co-host this one.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. So, like integrating all these diverse equipments, you got your bioreactors, purification systems, and so on. It's kind of like piecing together a complex puzzle, right? Not just the physical connections, but you're aligning the disparate communication protocols, which, is very exciting for me.
Yeah, 3D puzzle, really. Tough to drill into the details while also keeping like the whole vision together. I don't know, maybe not that tough. You guys are pros, but getting it done under a compressed schedule, pretty much the first time, no hiccups, made it tough.
And right on. And wrapping it up, so we just keep it a nice 4-part series. Well, what do you think about putting in for considerations of commercial off-the-shelf products? I know we put in a lot of that in our other social media for commercial off-the-shelf versus custom. What do you think, Marie? Is that going to work?
Yeah, for sure. Happy to lead that discussion from ensuring effective connectivity to managing security. It's just about planning and a good RFP.
Yeah, we got to talk about the unknowable obstacles, really, or as Bill likes to call them, the fun challenges, and the strategies that we're using to overcome.
Huh. All right. Well, that's a lot to cover in a short time. That's a lot of topics. But this is going to shape up to be fantastic and really informational for the people that are actually going to listen to us. Let's not forget, we'll wrap up with a preview of what our client for that project will be discussing at the ISPE Facility of the Future conference. That's going to be happening at the end of the month in San Francisco. It's going to be I don't know exactly what they're going to say, but hopefully it's really insightful on a groundbreaking project.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how listeners respond and what they say at the conference. It's a great opportunity to showcase our journey and the innovations we brought to the table.
Yeah. Well, at least it'll be more fun than those more formal lessons learned worksheets we're all familiar with. So.
Yeah. Well, we'll take a quick break and then we'll delve into the nuts and bolts. And that's how we approach challenges here at Lucid. Now let's shift gears and discuss something I believe is crucial in our projects: early stakeholder engagement. Marie, you're deeply involved in the process with a focus on the IS-88 batch. How important is early engagement in your work?
Oh, I mean, absolutely critical. And it's not just about keeping people informed for like covering your butt later. It's about pushing planning as an activity to the top of everyone's to-do list and making it a priority, because deliverables aren't for months out. Everyone has immediate fires that they're dealing with. So it's really easy to ignore the like all the planning activities with all of the day-to-day crap that you're worried about. So the real work is getting them into a rhythm where they're thinking about planning. This is on their radar. They know about it, and then eventual buy-in is priceless. It's not my plan. It's our plan. Buy-in works, and especially given the complexity of what we deal with.
Yeah. And I mean, we're getting parties involved early, like IT, for instance. We got to engage them early on. You just have to if anything's going to work. But also, just as important and something that we kind of leaned with here is getting QA involved on the ground floor. Working with them to make sure that we're meeting their standards, that they really know what they're in for. We're all on the same page. It's really like a cheat code for success later on, which is typically when we do rope in QA. But at that point, if you get them on early in, they know what they're in for. So we're designing with an eye for success. We're designing with an eye for easy validation and compliance anyway. But get them on board, get them rolling with it. Good to go.
Yeah, that's a great point. And it's not quite like pre-approval yet. It's co-writing the validation plan with QA for an entire cell line, that it's confidence building. They see that we are thinking about them. They get their input in early. You haven't written any acceptance tests yet, but you're in such a great position for when later down the road, when inevitably the automation schedule gets compressed because that's how projects work. You're able to keep it going, and even with equipment changes and forced plan changes, when you have QA on board from the beginning, it's a lot easier to have those conversations and then get that pre-approval when it's time.
Yeah, early and consistent engagement really did save a lot of time on the back end. There's so many trades on site during construction. You really have to be there on site. The guy that wrote the subcontract based on the preliminary drawings is not going to be the one that actually does the work. So you have the different trades like the BMS, the electricians, the telecom, the pneumatic teams, all the same. The one that spec'd it is going to end up telling the supervisor what to do, and then the supervisor ends up telling the guy from the hall what he's actually going to put in there. At each stage, you got to make sure there's somebody there that can make the clarifications right away, that so they don't have to go back, or most likely what they'll do is they'll just push ahead and do it wrong. Having somebody there to do it right the first time and making sure that all these pieces that have to fit together really work. And some of the work we do is specialized enough where it shouldn't fall on the GC to do that fine detailed work, but we could really rep the client when we do it there.
Yeah.
Just being there, I think, saved weeks of delays and rework. It's a grind, but the guys we worked with were really pros and patient listening to our concerns, and really good at filtering out the jargon that we end up providing to them and getting the job done.
Yeah, it's, automation, there's always that element of project management in there where like you're making sure that you're like the conductor of an orchestra, right? You're making sure that every musician with all their unique parts and everything all come together and do it correctly, and then it sounds good and you've got a great facility. As engineers, we have to ensure that everyone's contributions really harmonize with the project goals, and it's challenging, but also that, it's rewarding. That's the job, especially when we get to see all the different parts come together and create a whole facility.
Yeah, it's definitely a good point. And I often got to remind myself, it's not just about the technical side and getting the machines talking and working. It's about building this team where everybody's on the same page. You know, we got and then there's individual teams, individual tribes in between the teams, and they all got their individual goals. So bringing them together, get them aligned, and in this instance, that result was great.
Well, that really is what sets us apart. We're not just ticking boxes and meeting deadlines. It's about creating an environment where work is really efficient and compliant. And yes, fun. It's about getting the job done and enjoying the journey.
Absolutely. And it's this approach to like early stakeholder engagement that really cements our strategy. And it's not just a step in the process, it's the foundation. It's what we keep coming back to. We don't just, like you said, we don't just do it to tick boxes.
Oh man, and who doesn't love a project that just flows smoothly from the word go?
Exactly. Lucid, where innovation synergizes to meet with collaboration and fun. We should write shit down. Next, we should dive into the intricacies of equipment selection and vendor relations. Until then, keep innovating. On our discussion about equipment selection and vendor relations. Now, let's dive into another critical aspect, the integration of key equipment in biotech manufacturing. Jacob, with your broad experience in bioreactors and automation industries in general, how do you see the role of bioreactors evolving in our process?
Well, Bill, all equipment is important, but some equipment is more important than others, And given their similarities to my beverage fermenters, maybe I'm a little bit biased, but bioreactor integration really is key to the success of the entire manufacturing process. Not only what you're doing now, but improving future protein yields, as you're always looking to the future. So at Lucid, we're focusing on these bioreactors, not just functioning in isolation, part of a larger interconnected intelligent database system. And it's fascinating to see how they can be optimized from stock for better control, data collection, and analysis.
Okay, and I know you love bioreactors, but it's not just bioreactors, right? The rise of single-use systems has been a game changer in the industry too. And so they bring flexibility and reduce contamination risks. And so integrating these into our clients' processes demands a fresh perspective. And, you know, we get to reinvent the wheel, which who doesn't love reinventing a wheel?
Well, that's a pretty good point. But what other equipment that uses single use, like chromatography and TFF single use systems?
Yeah, chromatography, TFF systems, especially in purification stages, they're areas where everything's got to be precise, presumably. Our role here at Lucid is to make sure that the systems are communicating effectively, right, with the rest of the manufacturing processes. And cheesy as it is, someone once described this exact thing like being like conducting an orchestra. Every instrument has to be in tune, it's got to be in time, and as much as it pains me to admit it, they're not wrong.
Thank you, Jacob. I'll remember that. And also, I mean, we can't forget media prep. It is the foundation. There we go, foundation again of biotech manufacturing. And so ensuring that its integration is smooth and effective is also crucial for process consistency and reliability.
Speaking of integration, how do we handle the complexity of building management systems, BMS?
Yeah, BMS, it often gets overlooked or deprioritized. Some people think it's like not shiny or as interesting as some of the other biotech stuff, and therefore they don't think it's as important. But we're talking about the real-time monitoring and control of your entire manufacturing environment that's keeping everything where it needs to be, which, you can't have a quality product in a dirty or a too warm or too cold of a space. These are critical items, in addition, of course, to complying with regulation.
And I mean, compliance, that's where all the fun is, right? Um, but really bringing all the different elements together, making sure that they work in harmony, that's challenging, but also, that's the heart of what we do. We do it because we love it. It's rewarding.
Harmony, huh? Absolutely. It's the expertise in integrating a diverse range of equipment that really sets us apart from everyone else. We do all of it. Not just connecting machines, but we're creating efficiencies and compliant manufacturing processes. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks, Maria and Jacob, for this
And
insightful discussion. To our listeners, be sure to tune in next time as we delve into the architectural considerations for integrating commercial off-the-shelf components in biotech manufacturing. Until then, keep innovating with Lucid and on integrating various equipment into biotech manufacturing. Now, let's pivot again to a topic that's equally crucial. Architectural considerations for integrating commercial off-the-shelf components, also known as COTS systems. Jacob, with your extensive experience in bioreactors and beyond, how do you approach challenges of physical media in integrating commercial off-the-shelf components?
Well, Bill, that's a great question. It's all about robust connectivity, but philosophically, not just physically. When we integrate commercial off-the-shelf components, we're essentially putting together a puzzle where each piece comes from a different box, and we're using the instruction manual written for a different game entirely. The key here is in the physical medium, the cables, the connectors, the network gear, and all that, making sure everything not only connects together, but then making sure it communicates effectively. It's like speaking different languages, finding common grounds with each other, to understand what's going on and being able to communicate effectively.
And that's where automation protocols come into play, right, Jacob? Like each component might have its own protocol, and our job is to create a seamless conversation, if you will, between them, like being the translator that understands not only like the words, but also the subtext of the different languages and restructures the specific phrasing for, not to go back to the orchestra analogy, but harmonious communications between the groups.
It's a really great analogy there, Marie. Speaking of which, how do we handle the delimitation between local and supervisory controls in our project?
Well, Bill, I'm glad you asked. See, we need to establish clear boundaries between the different control levels. It's like having a manager and a regional manager. Both are essential, but their roles are very distinct. Ensure that the local controls, as the manager, manage the immediate responses to machines like, alarms, turning on pumps, things like that, while the supervisory system, the regional manager, handles the like the broader level, the oversights like recipe management, alarm handling, and overall visualization into the system itself.
And don't forget about security and authentication that are also like paramount, especially when dealing with sensitive and highly regulated biotech processes. So we put in place stringent measures to ensure that only authorized personnel have access to the control system, and they only have the access that they're supposed to have, right? It's a bit, like guarding a treasure. You need the right key to get in. You've got to have your right password and
Yes.
user
Yes.
security.
We are a security company. Great analogy again. You're on point with that game today. And what about long term?
Yeah, well, that is the final piece of the puzzle here. We're talking long-term data management. It's vital for analysis, future processes, and especially compliance. We're integrating systems. They not only store data efficiently, but they're making it accessible for your customized reporting, your future analysis, and just general engineering insights. It's like keeping a very detailed journal, which I certainly encourage everyone to do. Every entry builds on itself and forms a context for a much bigger story.
And let's not forget that doing all of this while keeping the process fun and engaging is what makes Lucid stand out, right? It's not just about the technicalities. Like you've said, Jacob, it's not just about the tech, even in a technical field, it's not just about the technical work. It's also the soft skills and creating an enjoyable work environment.
It's like I got nothing. No analogies for me.
It kind of reminds me of conducting an orchestra.
That brings us to the end of today's discussion. Thank you, Maria and Jacob, for your insights into the architectural considerations at Lucid Automation. To our listeners, thanks for tuning in, and join us next time when we explore the facets of engineering excellence at Lucid. Until then, stay innovative. Back to Automate This, where we've been dissecting our latest project, which is also a strong candidate for the ISPE facilities of the future. I'm here with Jacob and Marie to summarize our series and look ahead to our client's presentation at the upcoming conference. Let's start with a quick recap. Jacob, can you kick us off with the highlights from our discussion on early stakeholder engagement?
Sure thing, Bill. We emphasize, how important the early engagement with stakeholders was, like groups like IT, QA, equipment vendors, contractors. It's all absolutely vital to our project. It's like making sure you have the ingredients and the equipment all ready before you start cooking. It sets the tone for the entire project success. It's like cooking up a big old pot of gumbo. Boy, howdy. Woo-wee. Getting the pot cooking up real good. Beans and fries.
That's so spot on, Jacob. Marie, how about a takeaways on equipment success?
Well, our focus on the URS and RFP process, along with forging strong vendor relationships, once again, was like laying down the perfect foundation. It wasn't just about selecting equipment, but building partnerships for seamless integration and functionality down the road.
Absolutely, Marie. And when we discussed the integration of key equipment, we highlighted how harmonizing different equipment from bioreactors to BMS was crucial. It's like conducting an orchestra where each instrument plays a vital role.
Wow, that was really a great analogy, Bill. And, on architectural considerations, we looked at how integrating the commercial off the shelf components required a strategic approach to connectivity, different communication protocols, which is my jam, and the security. Essentially building a fortress that's both strong and intelligent, and where everybody can speak multiple languages in order to get along there.
Yeah, I'd say that sums up our series pretty nicely. Covered a lot of ground, showcasing how our collaborative, innovative approach was key to this project's success.
Indeed, we did. And now looking forward, our client is all set to present at the ISP Facilities of the Future conference in San Francisco. They'll be highlighting our partnership and how it contributed to the success of the project.
Yeah, and I am stoked as can be to hear their perspective there. Our collaboration with them was a major factor in the project's success, and it rules to be recognized on such a prestigious platform.
Definitely. And it's a testament to our hard work and innovation. I'm really looking forward to hearing how our project is paving the way for future facilities in biotech and pharmaceutical industry.
As am I. It's been an incredible journey, and I can't wait to see where it leads us next. Thanks, Jacob. Thanks, Marie, for your insights, and to our listeners for joining us. This wraps up this series on Automate This. Stay tuned for more exciting discussions and on the latest of automation. Until next time, keep innovating.
Automate this.
This has been a production of Lucid Automation. The opinions expressed are those of the individuals and do not represent those of Lucid Automation. Upon further consideration, those opinions would likely be retracted by the individuals that made them. All opinions are to be considered for entertainment purposes only and should, under no circumstances, be considered professional engineering advice. Please contact Lucid Automation directly at http://lucidautomationsecurity.com for official advice.